The launch window blinked green for the third time, which meant the ship was either very eager to leave or the planet was politely telling me to hurry up and stop existing in its airspace. I strapped myself in anyway. The mission log was finalized, encrypted, and already boring, which was how Command liked it. Successful infiltration, successful data retrieval, minimal cultural damage. A perfect job. I was already composing the speech I'd give to myself about how I'd never take another assignment that involved alien cuisine or gravity that leaned slightly to the left. The dock AI cleared its synthetic throat inside my helmet. Departure authorization pending. Please remain where you are. That's what I'm doing, I said. Remaining is my specialty. Outside the viewport, the city's orbital ring rotated with mathematical smugness. Energy lanes pulsed. Cargo drones zipped past like they had somewhere important to be, unlike me, who had exactly one job left. Go home, Earth, blue oceans, arguments about parking. Simple things. Another delay notice flashed. Then another. I sighed and tapped the console. Look, if this is about the coffee machine incident, I already apologized. Twice. No response. Instead, a priority channel forced itself open, overriding my controls with the digital equivalent of someone putting a hand on your chest and saying no. A summons code scrolled past, elegant and unmistakably royal. I stared at it for a long second. You have got to be kidding me, I said to the empty cockpit. I survived planetary security, political radicals, and a translator that once called a priest a decorative fungus. Now this. The ramp disengaged before I could argue further, lowering me back into the station corridor. Gravity reasserted itself with a familiar alien firmness, like the planet was personally offended by my attempt to leave. I stepped out, helmet under my arm, trying to look like a man who definitely wasn't being dragged into something life-altering at the last possible second. The corridor lights dimmed in that ceremonial way that always meant trouble wrapped in politeness. Footsteps approached, unhurried, confident, belonging to someone who had never had to sprint for an extraction point in their life. I knew who it was before she spoke. So, she said calmly, this is where humans disappear without saying goodbye. I turned, already rehearsing a dozen clever excuses and realizing none of them would work. The launch window behind me flickered from green to yellow, as if even the station wanted to watch how this went. Princess, I said, with all due respect, you're standing between me and several light years of paperwork. She smiled faintly. Then it seems, she replied, we should talk before you make history inconvenient. She didn't move aside, I didn't either. We stood there like two incompatible software updates waiting to see which one would crash first. The station clock ticked loudly enough to feel personal. You know, I said, on my planet, blocking an exit is considered rude. On mine, she replied, leaving without resolving consequences is considered immature. I nodded, then Earth owes your world an apology card. She ignored that, which was unfair because it was a solid joke. Your ship will miss its window in 8 minutes. I've missed worse, I said. Once missed a window by 3 years, time dilation, long story, bad haircut. She studied me in silence, which I found unsettling because her silence usually meant she was calculating something expensive. You completed your task efficiently, she said at last. Too efficiently. That's literally my job. Yes, and now my problem. I crossed my arms. If this is about destabilizing your internal council, I'd like to remind you that they were already doing that on their own. I just nudged some files. You nudged history, she said, with a smile. That was the translator, I said quickly. It adds friendliness to everything, even threats. Her lips twitched despite herself. I reviewed your mission recordings. That's invasive. You recorded them. That's bureaucratic. Exactly. She stepped closer, lowering her voice. Your presence changed projections. Markets, alliances, public sentiment. Humans were a variable we thought we understood. And now you're inconveniently complex. I sighed. Story of my life. So what do you want? A speech? A wave? A symbolic handshake that starts a war? She tilted her head. I want you to stay. I laughed before my brain could stop me. That's not funny. I'm not joking. That makes it worse. My advisors believe your departure will be seen as abandonment. I was never adopted. Your humor does not alter the outcome. It helps me survive it. Her long ears shifted slightly, which I had learned meant frustration, not curiosity. Progress. If you leave now, she said, factions will assume Earth withdraws support. Support I was never authorized to give. Intent is irrelevant. Perception governs reality. On Earth too, I said, we just pretend it does. The clock chimed, 5 minutes. I didn't plan to matter, I said more quietly. I did the job, I go home, that's the deal. And yet, she said, you mattered. I gestured at the corridor. You're really doing this at the exit. Yes, she said. You humans are dramatic, I adapted. I exhaled. If I stay, Earth asks questions. If you leave, she replied, my world fractures. I looked back at my ship's status, blinking impatiently. No pressure. She met my eyes. You always say that when you're under it. I blinked. You've been studying me too much. Someone had to, she said. You study us by accident. The clock chimed again, 3 minutes. Well, I muttered, this is going to look terrible in my debrief. She smiled just a little. Welcome to politics. The clock froze, not metaphorically, literally. The station's chronometric field hiccuped and locked the last 3 minutes into a polite stalemate. My ship stopped blinking. The corridor hum flattened into a single sustained note. Did you do that? I asked. She glanced at the frozen display. Of course not. That was a very confident lie. It was a temporary administrative pause, she said. Entirely legal. On whose laws? Ours, also, she added. Yours, technically. Your mission charter allows for diplomatic obstruction under Article 7. I groaned. Everyone reads my paperwork except me. She activated a hollow panel between us, and the air filled with branching probability lines, numbers crawling like nervous insects. Futures stacked on futures, some bright, some very much not. This is what happens if you leave, she said. One line spiked downward. Riots, market collapse, a new flag I didn't recognize, which is never a good sign. Another showed a council member giving a speech with the confidence of someone about to ruin everything. And this, I asked, if you stay. The projection stabilized. Not perfect. Nothing ever is, but less screaming, fewer explosions, always a selling point. I rubbed my face. You're telling me my physical presence prevents chaos. Your symbolic presence, she corrected. Your continued existence within our system implies commitment. I imply things all the time without meaning to, I said. Once implied marriage, long story, different planet. She almost smiled. Almost, a new alert chimed. Earthside quantum relay attempting contact. I pointed at it. That's my boss. If I don't answer, they assume I'm dead or worse. Promoted, she offered. Exactly. I opened the channel halfway. Static crackled, then my handler's voice filtered through, distorted by distance and bureaucracy. Status. Delayed, I said. Minor diplomatic turbulence. How minor? Define minor. The princess leaned closer to the relay and said clearly, Hello, Earth. We are borrowing your human. The channel went silent. I winced. You didn't have to phrase it like that. I absolutely did. The relay cut abruptly. I imagined several people on Earth simultaneously pinching the bridge of their noses. The clock unfroze. 2 minutes resumed their march toward judgment. I looked at her. You're asking me to gamble my career. She met my gaze. I am offering you relevance. That's worse. She folded her hands. Stay temporarily, publicly, long enough for balance to settle. And then you may leave, she said, or not. I laughed under my breath. You aliens are terrible at exit strategies. And you humans, she replied, are terrible at staying. The final minute ticked down. I didn't move. Neither did she. The clock reached 0 and somewhere very far away, history waited to see what I'd do next. The decision didn't explode. It just sat there between us, stubborn and quiet, like a file refusing to upload. I need clarification, I said. Am I staying as myself or as a walking political symbol with better posture? She answered immediately. Both. Fantastic. Do I get hazard pay? You get influence. I can't spend that. You will try. Another alert chimed. Not my ship this time. Council priority, multiple channels. All very interested in my continued breathing. They noticed, I said. They always do, she replied. Power senses uncertainty like blood and water. That's comforting. I accepted one channel at random. A counselor's voice spilled out, layered with formality and panic. Human operative, your presence has triggered a quorum dispute. I cut him off. Please tell me that's not contagious. The channel muted itself. She arched a brow. You are terrible at diplomacy. I'm excellent at survival, I said. Diplomacy is a side effect. She activated a localized privacy field. The background noise vanished, leaving only the hum of very expensive technology pretending not to listen. "You're afraid," she said. "Of staying? Yes. Of leaving? Also yes, it's very efficient." She considered that. "Humans prefer motion, forward or backward." "We invented regret," I said. "It keeps us balanced." Another message flashed, this one marked personal, from her. "You're texting me now. It is faster than arguing aloud." I glanced at the message. A single line, "Stay, not for politics." I looked up. "That's cheating." "Everything important is," she said. I leaned against the wall and laughed softly. "Do you know how this ends on my planet? With committees, hearings, someone writing a report titled What Went Wrong. And here," she said, "it ends with consequences. Worse." The council channel forced itself open again, multiple voices overlapping. Demands, warnings, predictions that involved words like irreversible and precedent. She stepped forward and spoke once. The channels silenced instantly. "The human will remain," she said, "under my authority." Every system around us reacted. Locks shifted. Protocols rewrote themselves mid-sentence. My ship status flipped from departing to suspended. I stared at the console. "You just grounded me. I just protected you. Those are not the same thing. They are adjacent." I exhaled slowly. "If I do this, I do it my way." She nodded. I expected nothing less. "Temporary," I said. "Transparent, no lies to Earth." "Selective truth," she corrected. "Semantics is how wars start." "And jokes," she said lightly, "are how they pause." I checked the time. The launch window had passed. Somewhere my handler was definitely yelling at a screen. "Well," I said, "guess I live here now." She smiled, not victorious, not relieved, just honest. "For now." I shook my head. I was supposed to leave quietly. "You never do," she said, and against every protocol I'd ever memorized, I didn't argue. The hearings were shorter than expected, which should have worried me more than it did. Earth yelled through quantum channels, the council argued in circles, and somehow I became the calmest person in every room. That alone told me I'd changed. "I want it on record," I said during the final joint session, "that I did not plan to become a stabilizing myth." The council chair replied, "History rarely consults intent. History needs better manners." A few counselors laughed. That helped. Laughter meant things weren't exploding. Earth's delegate finally spoke. "You exceeded your mandate." "I expanded it," I said, "creatively." The princess didn't interrupt. She didn't need to. The system graphs behind us showed the truth. Markets steady, alliances holding, threat projections collapsing into boring lines. Peace or something close enough to fake convincingly. The vote passed. Temporary human presence formalized. Joint oversight. Exit rights preserved. I was free again. My ship was cleared within the hour. I stood at the dock, helmet in hand, waiting for the familiar itch to run. It didn't come. "You can leave," she said quietly. "I know." "No consequences now," she added. "No fractures." "I know that too." I glanced at my ship status. Green. Patient, almost hopeful. "I used to think finishing the mission meant escaping," I said. "Turns out it meant choosing." She tilted her head. I choose to go," I said, "for now." Her ears shifted, just slightly. "Acceptance, not disappointment. Growth, not loss. You'll return," she said. That wasn't a question. I paused, then grinned. "I hate unfinished conversations." She stepped back, clearing the path at last. "Then this is not goodbye." "No," I agreed. "It's a scheduled interruption." I boarded the ship. Systems came alive. As the engines warmed, a message flashed onto my console. From her. "Try not to destabilize any civilizations without me." I laughed and typed back. No promises. The ship launched.